Okay, so now I want to ask you a few more questions about business and your involvement with the company. So you went in and studied business, and then did you come to Festool right away and start working at Festool?
Not right away. I worked for other companies before, and then I came in via a daughter company.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which companies did you work for?
Well, one was a small consultancy, but the other one was Steel, and I've been there almost 3 years, and it was a lot to learn. It's a great company. I really enjoyed the time there.
You learned a lot from them? It was kind of cool to see?
I totally learned a lot.
Very good.
Yeah.
And so then with your involvement with Festool, how did that start? What did you do when you first came to Festool and then eventually became the chairwoman of the board?
Yeah, I took different steps, and I started with being kind of an assistant of the then CEO.
Yeah.
So we traveled a lot. I got to know all the subsidiaries in the countries, all the people, all the processes, and that was a super interesting time for me.
Yeah, I bet that's kind of fascinating because I imagine every country is a little bit different. There's different cultures, different processes and stuff. And in order to run this large company now that is in so many countries, you kind of have to figure out you have to meet different people and figure out the processes and things.
Yeah, and there's a challenge in balancing the standardization that you need in a bigger company, and then the beauty and the creativity in the certain markets. Like South Korea does a different job than the UK, and they both do great jobs. So it's good to see and to experience.
Very cool. Okay, now I want to ask you a whole bunch of questions about the current state of Festool, like how large it is and things like that. So I'm going to fire off a whole bunch of questions, and then you can just answer those questions back to me, and we can get all the stats. Okay, first thing I want to know is how many countries is Festool in?
We're in 25 countries with our own subsidiaries, and we're in 68 countries overall, so with partners working in the market.
Holy cow, that's quite a lot. I'm not going to make you name each one of them, but you guys you guys are all over the whole world.
Not the whole world, but yeah, we're getting there.
Okay, next question is about employees. I know the company started with 2 people, but how many employees have you got now all over the entire world?
So we have a bit more than 3,000 employees all over the world.
How many are in Germany?
Most of them.
Most of them in Germany.
Yeah.
Okay, because you guys have all your manufacturing and servicing.
I would
and everything.
say easily 2/3 in Germany.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Now I saw some of the very first tools, the chainsaws and the mortisers and things like that, and I imagine in the first few years they probably only would have made in the tens or hundreds of those tools. But right now, how many tools do you guys manufacture per year?
We roughly manufacture above 1 million tools every year.
1 million tools per year?
Yeah.
Holy cow. So I've toured some of your manufacturing facilities and distribution facilities, and it looks like a busy beehive. There are people efficiently running around. I saw in one of the factories you've now employed a bunch of robots to organize and sort and help ship and things like that. But 1 million tools a year, that breaks down to quite a few tools per day that you guys are sending out all over. This is what I love about learning about companies, is that you see how a company starts as just sort of an idea that's a solution to a problem, and then now you guys are just about to finish your 100-year anniversary. I believe next year is a 100-year anniversary. And here you are, started off making a few chainsaws to solve a problem so people didn't have to use the manual saws.
Yeah.
And now you're making 1 million tools a year, and you're in countries all over the world, and you employ over 3,000 people. Okay, now Festool, as far as I understand it, is actually one company that's part of a much larger company, which is called TTS. Can you help me understand a bit more about that and the structure of that?
Yes, Festool is part of a larger company, the TTS, and I'd like to introduce you to Sascha, the CEO of the company, and he'll explain more about that. Dusty, I want to introduce you to Sascha, the CEO of TTS.
Hey, Dusty,
Sascha,
nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Welcome.
So this is the guy that knows all the questions
Yeah, you
and
can
all the
ask him
answers?
all the questions you want.
Of course.
I've got a few questions about how the whole thing works. So first question is, how long have you been the CEO of TTS?
2.5 years.
And what were you doing before?
I've been with another company, Husqvarna Group.
Husqvarna?
Yeah, focused on the outdoor power industry.
The motorbikes?
They don't belong to that company anymore, just the brand.
Really? Because I ride Husqvarna motorbikes.
Yeah.
I have a Husqvarna chainsaw as well.
Good choice.
Yeah,
good choice.
yeah. A lot
You're
of
an
my stuff
expert.
is Germans,
Yeah.
it seems.
Yeah.
Okay, so to TTS. Most of the focus so far has been all about Festool, but Festool is just part of the company, which is TTS. So can you explain to me how the whole structure works and what weighting there is? Like what portion of the overall company is Festool and some of these smaller companies?
Actually, we have this image of a family table. We've got 5 premium brands that sit at this family table. And arguably, to your question, Festool is the largest member of that family. And there's 4 other great brands that are part of our power tool family, as we call them. To give some examples, there's SawStop, a icon brand in my mind, protecting fingers around the world for woodworkers, and has been doing so for many years. and a proud member of this family since a couple of years, not only doing business as SawStop, but also helping the rest of the group to think about safety differently on our machines. Another great member of the group is Shaper, that you may have heard about, I'm sure you've heard about, a company focusing on the digital fabrication aspect, really bringing digitalization into woodworking in a very intuitive way, and not only a great business in itself, but also helping us as a family to culturally develop and move into that space even faster of digitization. Actually, a newer member is ExoIQ. They produce exoskeletons and have also been key in the development of the ExoActive that we've launched in the Festool brand, under the Festool brand recently. And lastly, but equally important, Thanos, our sustainer business, helping to be more mobile as a woodworker and transport your products and your tools, from A to B in the right way.
Okay, so you've got Festool, SawStop, Shaper, Exoskeleton, and Thanos. I've got a couple questions about each one of them. SawStop and Shaper, when you acquired them, how come you left them as SawStop and Shaper instead of just bringing them under the Festool? And the second question is, of those 5 companies, what's the relative weighting of each one? Like, how much does Festool represent versus how much SawStop represents versus how much the other ones?
I think that's a good question. And you could argue, why not, to your point. I feel, and really follow also how it's been thought about before I joined, that we have actually 3 quite different businesses, also different business cultures. And it is easy to put everything under one roof, but you're also losing a lot of entrepreneurialism, of engagement, of identification. And we've got different target groups as well, to some extent. Woodworking is not the same everywhere. And I think these are 2 good reasons to have them as part of the family, but let them develop and drive their businesses with their brands and their customers independently. That's how we look at them. That was your first question.
Yeah.
The second question was relative sizing. So more than 3/4 is Festool. That's by far the largest and also arguably the oldest brand in our portfolio, on our family table of brands. Followed by SawStop, probably 15 percentage points, and the rest of the 3 share the remainder, with obviously ExoIQ as the youngest family member and in the still early stages of bringing this product to the market, being the smallest.
Okay, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I really appreciate you talking to me, but I would love to know, you're the head of a company that has like 3,000 employees. It's in countries all over the world. What is it that you're focusing on? What is it that's the main goals and the main aspirations behind Festool, and what is it that keeps you guys going?
Dusty, I think great question. We love woodworking. It's the passion that really drives us, and we've got so many passionate woodworkers here. And we are on a growth journey. We have been over the last decades and continue to do so. It's about the greatness of our tools, the robustness, the safety, the system aspect that makes woodworking so much easier and really promotes woodworking. And that's what gets us going. And the more we can reach people passionate about woodworking around the globe, the happier we are. And that's the mission we are under. And it's a fun mission.
So Barbara, thanks so much for taking time to meet with me today, but I have
Pleasure.
2 more questions for you. Number 1, when people think about Festool, they think about tools that are high quality, they're innovative, they're very effective, but they also think they're very expensive. And I want to know, why are Festool tools so expensive?
Well, we have this kind of perfectionism, so we spend a lot of money and capacity in R&D. So we want to create the perfect tool for our customers. Mm-hmm. So that's one point. Then, and right now we're in the testing environment, we spend a lot of time and money on testing. So they need to be robust, stay good forever, mm-hmm. and be repairable. And we have the service. So that's all expensive, mm-hmm. and this is what makes the tool expensive.
Yeah, so I was actually in the museum the other day, and I used some of the tools that were 80 years old. And I still use the 80-year-old radial arm saw, yes. and the 80-year-old saw. So you guys do make tools that last a long time.
Yeah.
So you would say you spend a lot of time on R&D.
Yeah.
You really want to make a perfect tool.
Yeah.
This one right here, for example, I found out yesterday, took 7 years to develop. So you guys don't launch products just like, quickly make a product.
No,
you guys
no.
take a very pragmatic and systematic approach,
yeah.
and you wait until it's achieved a level of perfection before you launch it.
Absolutely.
And then that limits, that reduces the amount of problems you have with it, increases its longevity.
Yeah.
Would you also say that, I understand, and I've been here before, and your manufacturing is all in Germany. You easily probably could have taken all of your manufacturing and shipped it over to China or some other Asian country for a much lower cost, but you guys choose to stay here. Would you say that that's also a factor in why the tools cost more?
Probably, yeah. I mean, this is very efficient how we produce here, but then it's kind of a value of my family that we want to stay in the region, that we want to stay. We produce mostly in Germany, so yeah. This is how we are, and it probably adds some to the price tag.
But I kind of like that. So you started in 1925, which was pre-World War II. Then obviously World War II happened, and then as a German people, you had to rebuild the country, and Festool built a bunch of the tools that helped rebuild Germany, and you're dedicated to the German people and the German system. And yes, you could have gone and manufactured somewhere else, but part of your story is also building in Germany with Germans and in Europe and stuff like that, which I think is admirable.
Yeah, yeah, and we got great people there in the factory. You're gonna see, you're gonna take a tour. So yeah.
I will also be touring tomorrow the testing department and seeing all the time and effort that goes into that. So you talked about that as being one of the factors of cost, and I'm sure I'll learn a lot more about that and see really how much testing does go into these tools. My last question is, next year, 2025, will be the 100-year celebration of Festool. So I guess it's a two-part question. One, is there anything special going on for the 2025 100-year celebration? And what do you think is going to happen over the next 100 years?
That's a big question. We're so proud that we're able to celebrate this 100 years. And this is, well, that's the customers that buy us that make this possible. So we are very thankful about that. There are going to be special things happening, and I don't want to give away too much. Yeah, and for the next 100 years, we want to stay a family business. We hope we manage. And we want to stay very close to our customers. I mean, tradespeople are super close to our heart, and we want to make their work easier. And this is how my grandfather started out 99 years ago, and we want to carry that into the future, no matter how it will look like and how the portfolio of products will change. But this is our approach and what we want to do.
Barbara, thank you so much. It was so nice to get to hear all this from a personal point of view and how you were involved with the company. I'm also very excited to see what will happen with Festool in the coming years, but I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me and answer some of these questions.
Thank you, Dusty.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.